Hey, ladies and gents, this is Dwiz here with a review of the Mythic Legion's Sir Gideon Heavensbrand figure. This is Sir Gideon Heavensbrand 2, coming as part of the Necronominous wave. I've got Gideon Heavensbrand 1 right next to him to compare one of the OG figures. I am so excited about reviewing this figure. I haven't even had my coffee today, and I'm still excited. Let me read the bio for you here real quick. See if my old eyes will allow. It says, Sir Gideon Heavensbrand. The dark days of the Order of Aetheron are now in the past, thanks to the leadership of Sir Gideon Heavensbrand, a selfless man whose conviction and faith are unwavering. It is his example that is needed as the darkness of Necronominous returns and death itself walks again in mythos. Sir Gideon's faith shall be tested, yet it shall not break, even as the dead rise from their graves, and stand against him on the field of battle. Leading an army of knights, Templars, mystics, and paladins, Sir Gideon and the Order of Aetheron marched to meet the horrors of the congregation, bringing the purifying light of the crowned eagle with them. So, a guy who is an epitome of all that is right, white knight, so to speak. This guy is, I just have to say, he was not one of the characters that I was that drawn to or attracted to early on, because I felt like he was very on the nose, Dudley Do Right type, right? But so he wasn't, he didn't immediately attract my attention, because when you have the unblemished hero or whatever, who always does right, and there aren't any shades of gray, a lot of times you go more for the anti-hero or the villain or whatever. But the way he's been recreated here in what I can only imagine is like ceremonial dress, what it really shows is how far the line has come. He was an amazing figure to begin with, but now it's just next level stuff. Literally, the soft goods, the elaborate, some would say ostentatious sculpting on, and all the details on the armor. But this is what is needed when you do a 2.0 of a figure that's already sort of blinged out and elaborate. You just go all out, balls to the wall, and that's what the Four Horsemen have done with this figure. So I'm glad to have OG Gideon 1 to compare and contrast here, so you can see, hey, even if you have the first one, you want the second one. And if you have the second one, you might want the first one, but you don't have to go back and pay all those, third-party markups, because I believe he's one of the pricier figures out there at the moment. I don't remember whether or not he even came with the Heavensbrand sword. That may have come separately in a weapons pack or something. So I think that might add to add to that. So let's look at one here, right? He has just a 2D shield. That's something that immediately pops out, with Aetheron on there. I always thought Aetheron's neck was a little long, but I understand that it was a stylized design, and I thought it was a cool shield. And then, but it, of course, it pales compared to this new 3D shield with the new Aetheron just there in all his glory, golden crown, sword before him. I don't know how heavy a shield like that would be in battle, or how effective it would be, but it would definitely strike awe in your opponents. And then, as you can see now, he's got all these soft goods that he didn't have before. He had the pliable loincloth and the upper torso, the cloth torso, and those look great, but now he has a horse. He's got Bishop, right? He's got a mount that people are just going to put him astride Bishop, because that's part of his backstory. And it's much easier to do that when you have these really cool soft goods that are wired, and then, you have no problem sitting him down. Let's take other than that, I mean, the face sculpt is pretty similar. except I guess he's able to have his helmet off now or his helmet on, and his visor up or down. But so, you know, you get more details with the hair, and the fact that it's longish hair, I like that because it gives him less of that Dudley Do-Right type look. Dudley Do-Right is a old hero from an old cartoon for those of you that aren't a million years old. So that's one of the things that we've gotten is the 3D shield. We're getting them with all the factions, and this one is really, really cool, and I'm really glad to have it. Obviously, then you have the elaborate pauldrons. The original pauldrons were just, you know, nicely painted, right? But they weren't this sort of sculpt that we have here, where you have this normal pauldron, and then you have this giant, really super cool eagle pauldron with the painted eyes and all that sculpt. And since he is the, I guess, physical embodiment of the power of Aetheron, it makes sense that he would have Aetheron emblazoned not only on his shield, but on his pauldron. And then check this out. On the back of his elbow armor. How cool is that, right? So all these cool little details. And then, of course, on the Heavensbrand sword, which is here. And if you compare the Heavensbrand sword that we got this time around with the original Heavensbrand sword, you'll see that there are additional paint details on there. With the grip being blue, this being like a jeweled piece. It might be a whole new sculpt, I'm thinking, because it looks like the hilt, at least the hilt might be different. So maybe it's a different sword. Maybe, I don't know. I don't see why it would, but it is a slightly different color. The silver is, well, maybe not. I do notice there is a difference in the golds, though, right? The Heavensbrand sword is one of the coolest swords in Mythic Legions. I mean, it's right up there with the sword Horsemen, and I just love the way it looks. And then it comes with this scabbard, unlike anything that we got before. It's really big and hefty for like a sword like this, and it's got all these really cool details. I put a little bit of heat on the scabbard or on the belt, so it'll open up to receive the scabbard, and I suggest that you do the same, right? But so yeah, so it's an extra big, extra elaborate scabbard to hold the sword, and I don't believe that we had that sort of scabbard before. Let me see. I didn't put heat on his hands. I try to put it in there. You know what? I'm not. It's cold. Obviously, I could force it in there, but I'd rather just heat up, you know, follow directions and heat up the hand and put the sword in there so that it fits nicely, right? When you get your figures out, like 4 Horsemen say, always heat up the joints. And I don't always follow those directions, but I am going to in this instance. I just want to you know, feast your eyes on all these touches, right? The feathers, the wings, all that, which, you know, it's really different because this isn't the generic armor that we got with the first guy. I think maybe the feet are the same, right? But if you look at the shin guards, those are different. There's filigree there that's more elaborate. And then obviously I've already talked about the shield. You always talked about the gauntlet. I talk about this elbow armor there on both sides. So, and then of course the soft goods, which are not only pliable, but they are wired. So you can go ahead and arrange those however you might want. He also has this cool belt here with all, you can see the intricately painted buckles and all that. And then he also has a dagger, which is a dagger that looks like all the new knights are coming with, right? So that's just a basic sharp dagger with a blue handle. Like I say all the other figures are coming with that, and that comes with the scabbard. This is, I think this is a silk screen process there, so he can have Aetheron emblazoned on his wrist. And obviously this fancier collar piece here is really, really cool. I really like the gold and the blue accents together. That color combination is amazing. And then let's try on his other head. He comes with two separate different shield clips. He comes with the shield clip and then the shield handle. I have him holding the shield handle. The shield clip is handy if you want him to hold on to a weapon at the same time that he's holding his shield. But that shield is quite a bit to handle. So I wouldn't have him do that. I'm going to pop his head here. Pop his head in here. Okay. All right. So if you don't want him unhelmeted, this, I think, is the look that I love, because I love those wings sweeping back. See, here's the handle on the shield handle. So that pops off real easy, and then you can also pop the center piece off if you would want to do that. I don't know why you would. See if I could get his sword here in his hand. So we could get there. There we go. See, even without heat. And I just barely took him out of the package, so I really haven't had a chance to futz with them and make sure that everything's perfect. But I love the wings on his head. Very cool. And then if that isn't enough bling, right, then he has the Aetheron eagle on top of his head. So it's a similar look. It might actually be, no, it's a completely newly sculpted helmet with different details. And see, that 4 Horsemen don't have to do that, but they always go the extra mile, especially on these 2.0s, you know. And then you can move this down so he's got his head completely protected and covered. So yeah, and the other thing is the gold is like a richer gold, sort of more resplendent. Like I always try to say, he's resplendent in his sartorial splendor. This is a more muted gold, and it relies more on the silver accents, whereas this is gold and it relies more on, I think, the gold accents to really, really make it pop, and the blue, which is something that we didn't get with the original figure. And then of course all the very, very cool sculpted details. So that's him fully armored with his helmet down, and then I can change it to the shield clip, and then clip that on right there, so that he does have dagger, sword, and shield, right? And then let me show you some of the additional pieces that he comes with. Obviously the 2 heads, right? But he also has 2 additional hands, and I believe what these are the hands that have the swivel so that he can hold the sword aloft, sort of like I have the Power He-Man pose. So he's got those 2 hands and then these 2 hands. So 4 hands in total come in the package. He's got 2 neck pegs, because my understanding is that one's a little tiny bit higher and one's a tiny bit lower. So different heads and helmets fit differently with different pegs. You can try that. Like again, I said the shield clip and the shield handle, and then 2 additional belts, one that's thicker. You can see it's got all the silver and gold details painted on there. Belts are always awesome because you could put them across his chest or whatever. And then this very, very thin belt that I don't think we've seen before, but you know, you can belt them up to your heart's content, or you could share with other figures. So yeah, it's a big, huge upgrade from the original figure. The other thing that I want to point out is that the 4 Horsemen also put out a Knights of Aetheron hand pack with these gold hands. So if you want gold, gunmetal, and silver hands for your knights, get this, and then you can have them gesticulating or doing whatever it is that you want him to do with your hands. So I have to say, you know, Laodiceus up to this point has been the most blinged out figure of all time. I mean, he's a leader that is just, you know, covered with the symbolism, but he's been beat. He's been beat by Sir Gideon as far as the amount of bling and the elaborate nature of his armor, and the fact that Sir Gideon comes with Bishop, his horse, which I'm going to review next. And once he's astride that, I mean, everybody's going to be looking up to Sir Gideon and ready to follow him. All of the forces are good, which is a good thing, because it is a terrible fate that befalls them if they don't come together and somehow defeat Necronominus and all his evil undead minions. All right, Gideon Heavensbrand did not disappoint. 2.0 must get, even if you have the 1.0, which looks really great but quaint, you know, in comparison. But yeah, this is I think his ceremonial, what he would wear to Artemis Silvercord's coronation, or in a parade or something, or when giving a speech. And maybe you could have this guy where he's just engaging in battle and no frills, right? Or training for battle. So, all right, that is one great figure. Congratulations to the 4 Horsemen. Awesome job on this. Is the Wiz signing out.